Have you ever wondered why happiness never seems to last? You achieve something you've always wanted, only to feel empty a few days later. You buy the thing, meet the person, win the prize, and yet it fades. According to Arthur Schopenhauer, one of the most fascinating and brutally honest philosophers of the 19th century. But feeling isn't a bug in life, it's the very design of it. He believed that beneath everything in nature, from the movement of the stars to the hunger in your stomach, lies one fundamental force. He called it the will to live, a blind, irrational and insatiable energy that drives all beings to survive, to desire and to suffer. For Schopenhauer, this will isn't something we control. It's what controls us. Every time we crave, chase, or cling to something, we're being pulled by it. You eat because the will demands survival. You fall in love because the will wants to reproduce. You work, compete, and obsess because the will whispers that you're never enough. And this will, he said, is never satisfied. The moment we get what we want, we grow restless again. It's like an itch that never disappears. Scratching only gives a moment's relief before the irritation returns. That's why life, in Schopenhauer's eyes, is not about pleasure. It's about the endless escape from pain in your stomach. Lies one fundamental force. He called it the will to live, a blind, irrational, and insatiable energy that drives all beings to survive, to desire, and to suffer.
Schopenhauer argued that all human suffering comes from this relentless striving. We eat other creatures to survive, chase desires that only breed more desires, and then call this cycle living. But in truth, we are slaves to an invisible will that doesn't care about our peace. Yet, Schopenhauer wasn't content just to describe misery. He wanted to help us reduce it. Like the Buddha, whom he deeply admired, Schopenhauer studied the sickness of existence to find a kind of medicine. And after years of reflection, he left behind his unfinished work, The Art of Being Happy, containing 50 rules for life. It wasn't a guide to pleasure, but a blueprint for minimizing pain.
Now, here's a line from Schopenhauer that flips our entire view of happiness on its head. He wrote, "Every state of welfare, every feeling of satisfaction, is negative in its character. It consists in freedom from pain." What does that mean? It means that true happiness isn't something you add to your life. It's something you feel when pain, anxiety, and craving disappear. Pleasure is merely the absence of suffering. Once you understand that, life starts to look very different. It's a subtle shift, but it changes everything. If you find in this journey through Schopenhauer's mind fascinating, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to Mr.Kay. It really helps more curious minds like yours discover these deep ideas. Now, back to the philosophy. Schopenhauer built his philosophy on Immanuel Kant's idea that we don't see the world as it really is. We only see representations, filtered images shaped by our minds. The real world, the thing in itself, lies forever hidden behind our perceptions. At first, this sounds depressing. Nothing we see is truly real. But there's another side to it. If reality is filtered through the mind, then maybe, just maybe, we can change the filter. Maybe it's not the world that torments us, but how we perceive it. In other words, our suffering isn't caused solely by what happens to us, but by the meaning we give it. And that realization gives us power. We can't silence the will, but we can reinterpret the noise. Schopenhauer believed the most effective path to peace was to deny the will itself through asceticism. That means withdrawing from desires, restraining the senses, and turning inward. This is where he overlaps with Buddhism again, the idea that liberation comes from letting go. But Schopenhauer knew not everyone can live as a monk. Most of us are too deeply rooted in the world. For people like you and me, he proposed something else, not the complete escape from suffering, but its reduction. He wanted to teach the art of living less painfully. So, what does that look like? For starters, Schopenhauer said we must abandon the illusion that life owes us happiness. Young people, he wrote, believe the world is there to be enjoyed, but the older and wiser among us learn that it isn't. The first step toward peace is giving up the expectation that life should be easy, or fair, or blissful. Once you stop demanding constant happiness, the smallest pleasures, a quiet morning, a good meal, a moment of laughter, feel miraculous. Schopenhauer once said, "The safest way of not being very miserable is not to expect to be very happy." It's not cynicism, it's freedom. Our culture feeds us fantasies of a perfect life. Luxury, success, eternal excitement. Even those who reach that peak often collapse under the weight of it. The world's richest, most adored people still suffer from depression, addiction, and loneliness. Because, as Schopenhauer said, pleasure is an illusion. It can't be stored. It can't protect you. It's just a flicker before the will demands more. So, the wise don't chase it. They focus instead on avoiding unnecessary pain. It sounds bleak, but think of it like this. A calm sea may not be exciting, but it's better than a storm. Peace beats pleasure every time. One of Schopenhauer's greatest lessons is the importance of self-knowledge. Most of our suffering, he said, comes from pretending to be something we're not. When we compare ourselves to others, chase what doesn't fit us, or ignore our limits, we invite pain. He urged people to understand their own nature, what they're truly good at, what drains them, what fulfills them. Once you align with your real strengths, life becomes smoother, not painless, but gentler. Know yourself, he might say, and you suffer less from what you cannot be. For Schopenhauer, happiness isn't about what we have, but what we are. He famously wrote, "A healthy beggar is happier than a sick king." Health, he believed, is the foundation of all well-being. Because when the body suffers, no amount of wealth or fame can soothe it. So, take care of your health, protect your peace, and never trade your inner calm for external status. After all, when the lights fade, when the applause dies, only your inner state remains. In the end, Schopenhauer offered a golden rule. Live in the middle. Don't drown in indulgence, but don't starve your soul either. Choose pleasures that bring no pain and avoid those that demand too much suffering. That's the quiet art of living, not in pursuit of joy, but in harmony with pain.
So maybe the secret to happiness isn't to win the game of life, but to stop playing by its cruel rules. When we let go of our endless hunger for more, we finally taste peace. Thank you for watching. If this reflection on Schopenhauer gave you something to think about, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into philosophy and the human condition. Until next time, this is Mr. K signing off.